Spelletjes spelen tegen Jurgen is absoluut niet leuk. Hij is veel te goed in Dosa en ik heb alleen maar van hem verloren. Dus ik dacht, nu eventjes tijd voor wat anders. Naast mij zit Rogue. En Rogue is de ontwerper van het spelletje Serengeti, uitgegeven door Hal-13. Rogue, nice to meet you. Sorry jongens, Rogue is Engels, dus vandaar dat dit gesprek heel even in het Engels gaat. Dus als ik iets raars zeg, vooral even lachen, oké? Rogue, my English isn't that good, so if I say something funny, please point and laugh. Very much welcome to Spellenspektakel.
Thank you very much.
Is this the first time you're here?
Yes, this is the first time out in the convention. I actually just didn't know about it until 2 weeks ago.
Until two weeks ago, and then you took the opportunity to promote your own thought of game. You thought of the game Serengeti. You developed this yourself, right?
Yes. So this is an adventure that started 4 years ago, and so I've attended Spiel a number of years. First with the prototype, and now with the full game. So it has been released in September last year. So it's been a full year, and we're working in production now. Our actual expansion pack. So we have some plans for the future with this game as well.
Gaaf, dus behalve dan dat het spel ook echt is uitgegeven, worden er nu zelfs nog uitbreidingen op bedacht. Hey Rogue, could you explain for me in short sentences, because my English isn't that good, how does the game work?
Okay, so the game is essentially, it's about biodiversity. So you have a number of species in the game, 8 species, and you play with everything that comes in the box. And they represent area of study. So you will want essentially to kind of study those animals, if possible ignoring none of them, because it's about biodiversity again. And then essentially it's a majority game. At the end of the game, what we do is that we break off people's decks, players' decks, and compare the number of copies for each animal that they have acquired throughout the game. And for each of those animals, there's 1 point, essentially. There's also a specific animal called the lion.
The lion,
which essentially can be sent into the savannah to compete for 3 points. So you have 1 point for each animal, including the lions, plus 3 points for the lions over there. And then there's a tug of war, which will be moving back and forth depending on 2 things. You can move it in your favor by doing certain things, or you can be penalized if you mismanage the threat of scorpions. There's a Niven deck, which actually contains a third of scorpions. So for every 3 cards, or for every 4 cards, you have a scorpions. So each of those animals represent kind of different aspects of the game that you can try to control in your favor. So you want to try to spread large because, again, you want to study all the animals, but you still want to build an engine of sorts. So it's about striking that balance between specializing and still cover every ground.
Yeah.
Makes sense. So both players starts with a hand of 5 cards called the trail cards. And those trail cards allow you to then track any other animal. Okay, the top part of this card essentially allows you to track another card. And it requires a sun. The cards themselves serve as the currency. So when you basically want to track an animal, you have to place 1 card face down to be able then to take any of those cards. Okay, so any cards I acquire go in my discard, and eventually I'll get it in my hand, and then I can use what it does. Okay, all the cards have 2 different options: top part and bottom part. So you have the top part and the bottom part, which do 2 different things. So you're able, out of your cards in your hand, to be able to choose what you're going to be doing with them.
Yeah.
And any sun requirements will have to be paid for with another card. So you have decisions to be made with what you have in your hand. And that's essentially the idea. So you're trying to compete on different fronts and have the most point at the end of the game.
Sounds simple, but this is a game specifically thematically for Africa. In the expansion sets, you go explore different countries?
No, in the expansions I have, so they are in production now. They will be available probably in January. And what they do is that they replace some animals and introduce new mechanics. I call them thematic pack because they actually just provide an alternative setup. They're not like more animals and then you throw them and see what happens. It's quite a controlled environment. So you have certain flexibility on how you mix the new cards, but essentially you will be playing with different things. So in the base game you have this red card, which is the infestation, and which is linked to the bird, because the bird allows you to get rid of them. So in expansion you wouldn't play with this, and then you would remove another animal and place 2 new animals and a new event. So that would be the idea. So, but it's all about Africa, specifically the Serengeti, which is a part of Africa that is divided between Kenya and Tanzania. So
why did you choose for this setting, for this
I think
region?
first of all because there's not many games actually with such a setting, and also I wanted a very positive message. This is about animal protection. So it's a competitive game, but it doesn't matter at the end of the game whether you lose or you win. At least, abstractly speaking, you're actually saving the animals.
Yeah,
okay?
you're thinking about biodiversity.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. If you want to recommend this for people to play, how old do you need to be to play this game correctly?
Okay. Well, the box is 10 plus. So in theory, if your child is 10-year-old, it should be all right.
I sense some doubt.
Possibly. I mean, it's not a set collection card. So I have come across children who actually collect the animals they like best. And that's basically the opposite of what the game is trying to do.
Because you want to show biodiversity.
So I think 10 years old is old enough, but it's obviously, it's a difficult question to answer. A child has to be. I mean, from my point of view, it's not a hardcore kind of gamer type of game. There's very meaningful decision to be made, and it can be a bit punishing if you do too many mistakes. So it's not a game of luck. It's actually everything that I build into this game is about mitigating. It's a card game, but actually a good player will control 95% of the game at all times.
It's a very tactical game, isn't it?
It is definitely tactical with a view for the long term, but it is tactical because every game is going to be different. You're going to have an unfolding event which is going to be different. The drawed cards, which is the other type of cards, basically block an animal for a specific turn. It means the animal is moved away from the biotop. Okay? And then that's going to move somewhere else unless you have an infestation. So this is going to be critical. Every game is going to be different because this is unfolding differently. The rocks that I might have mentioned, or maybe not, but in each of those stacks you have a rock.
A rock,
which is basically
full of them
somewhere. So there's one in each of those piles.
Yeah.
And from that point on, when the rock is at the top, those basic cards are not good enough. So when you do a basic tracking, you can only acquire a card which is not under a rock. If you want to go beyond the rock, then you have to spend a premium. Either you have to spend an extra card, or you have to use the specialist, which is the lizard. Every card in this game has a specific
mechanic to work with another card. Yeah, awesome, man. So did you find it hard to why did you come up with this kind of game?
I think for me, I've been gaming for about 20 years and never really just designed games. When I started thinking about this one is because I wanted to make a different game. I mean, people come to me and they say, oh, it's a deck builder. It's actually not. It's actually a majority game with a deck building mechanic. I wanted basically, if people want to call it a deck builder, it's fine. But everything I did with this game was actually to counterpart. A lot of things basically take things that people are used to in the deck building mechanic genre and make it different. So for me, the critical point beside the theme, the thematic of Africa and animal protection, was to build mechanic that people are familiar with and do it different, to challenge them in reform an opinion about certain aspect. So it is a majority game rather than a deck builder. And if you approach with a deck builder, you're going to have some surprises thrown at you. So it's a new game to learn on a first encounter, but also every play you do.
Awesome. I regret I don't have the time today to try it out. But if you want to try it, als je dit spel nou wil uitproberen, kun je natuurlijk altijd naar de Spellenspektakel komen om hier samen met Rogue het spelletje even te spelen. Het spelletje heet Serengeti, super thematisch, ook om een beetje bewustwording te creëren voor de natuur om je heen natuurlijk. Spelletjes die zijn er niet alleen voor de gezelligheid, ze moeten hier ook wat leren. Rogue, can I thank you very much for your time? I hope you have a fun day today, and I hope a lot of people are going to play Serengeti. Thank you, man.
Thank you very much.
See you much.
Take care. Bye.